Welcome to the 9th episode of the Animal Riot Podcast, brought to you by Animal Riot Press, a literary press for books that matter. It's your producer, Katie, here, and this episode has been edited to reflect our new name. If you're new to the Animal Riot community, welcome, and you can find out more about us at animalriotpress.com. Now on to the episode with your host, Brian Birnbaum, and today's guests, Chelsea Asher and Meher Manda.
I'm your host, Brian Birnbaum. We're here today with Meher Manda and Chelsea Asher, co-founders and hosts of an angry reading series here in Harlem, like 9 blocks from us. And we're going tomorrow. Yes.
Woo-hoo.
Yep. This hour's brand of fuckery is brought to you by Orange Cello from Sergio and Susanna de la fucking Pava. So let's cheers.
Much. Thank you. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Shalom. Baruch. Okay, so you guys introduce yourselves now, and then tell me what you were going to say about me, Meher.
Hi,
Yeah.
My name is Meher, and I do some writing. And I just wanted to thank you because I feel like podcast is very on brand for me as a person. I keep waking up every day and thinking why I don't have one, and this is the first podcast I've ever been invited on. Which,
Wow.
I'm so excited that this is where it will all begin.
So I could be launching
Me.
a fledgling career.
Yeah, we're witnessing something really special.
Yeah,
Fledge-
I have my feet under my butt.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
I'm like a
they're
yogi
always
master.
there though.
I love how he said fledgling career. It's not even that. It's homeless at this point. It's a homeless career.
Okay, great. That's Meher.
I'm also a writer.
A poet.
Oh, yeah.
And a journalist.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Wow.
And a teacher.
Marge from Minneapolis. Thank you for that. All right, Chelsea.
So yeah, I'm Chelsea Asher. I am a writer, largely of things that make people really uncomfortable, and you can't really read it anywhere yet. Mostly on my Google Docs, so unless you hack me, that's about it.
Like literally hack you?
Yeah, hack me.
Is this
Please,
an invitation?
Oh, absolutely. I welcome it. My password's pretty easy, actually. I've had the same one since I was 12, so.
Chelsea Asher 12.
Yeah, literally. Just Chelsea Asher backwards,
On
actually.
on AIM?
Yeah.
Okay. Mine was Griffey8383.
Oh, my username was...
Yeah.
Oh, God, my username
Oh, that was your
something
password,
like-
right?
Yeah.
Mine was red1234.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
my password.
Oh, me too. No.
Mine was cooler.
That was it? It was cooler?
No, it was... No, it's Rolling Stones.
Wow.
What? Without any numbers?
Yeah, _9677.
Oh, well, don't,
Who
like,
cares about
fucking
that?
try and act like you didn't have numbers on the end then.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Anyways, so you were on AIM once.
I
You had a
was.
password, and you write.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think we're done.
I'm also Editor-in-Chief of Lumina Literary Journal
Yeah.
at Sarah Lawrence College, and I'm an educator here around the city. Yeah.
Are you a teaching artist still? Are you still doing the teaching artist
Yes,
circuit?
I am. I am doing the teaching artist circuit.
That's great.
Yeah, working with 5th graders.
It's a fun circle.
Writing.
For Community Word Project. That's our lovely producer's organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also work in Astoria with a group of really awesome high school students writing narrative essays, largely about food and hip hop at the moment. So that's pretty
Ooh.
cool.
This
That's
is like
cool.
a whole bio. I said I'm a writer.
Well, that's your fault.
I mean, you know.
Well,
I mean, once you drop the AIM password, it's like
True. Exactly.
The
I'm like,
floodgates open
really,
up.
you could know everything you need to know in about 2 seconds. I mean, my username was awful, though, on AIM, which probably, because, you know. Well, okay. So here's the thing. It was lovey-dovey girl 26. And the other thing about that is, though,
That's pretty
is
rough,
that I
yeah.
literally made, like, I thought of the whole thing with the numbers, like, the whole time.
26?
Yeah, and I just thought it sounded really nice. Like, I was like,
26?
lovey-dovey girl 26. I don't know, I felt like it was like a whole persona. I was like, yeah, like, this is the person I want to be. It was, like, aspirational. Because, you know, when you used to go on, like, AIM and, like, wait for your crush to come online?
yeah.
That
I
was-
wasn't on AIM. I
That
don't
was
know
the
what that
vibe.
is.
Oh, well, yeah.
Was it
Okay,
just
that makes
not in
sense.
India, or like were
You had
you just
MSN,
not
though,
on it?
no? That's what it was in English.
What?
Was AIM a
MSN?
thing?
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm sure it was. I think I was a late bloomer and boomer.
Late boomer.
Which one is it?
I feel like you
Boomer.
should. I
It's
feel
boomer.
like no, boomer's more on brand though.
Late boomer on the internet.
I was a late boomer.
Like you didn't poop until you were 7.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I just I remember I was in like 6th grade when they took us to the computer lab and they asked us to make our first email address, and I came up with 2. I felt like I needed 2, one for Yahoo and one for Gmail.
Do you still have them?
Yeah, I used them.
You had Gmail when the first time you made an email address.
It was both.
Gmail.
It was Gmail and Yahoo.co.in.
God.
And my Yahoo one was Rolling Stones, and my Gmail was Snake Eyes. .18555.
.1.
What were your passwords? I'm going in.
One of them, I think one of them was the name of my apartment building. And the other one, I don't even remember. But I've had all the passwords, like my crushes as passwords.
Partial is not one of them, though. No.
Is Harshal my crush? That's the question.
No, he's your ball
He's
and
pretty
chain.
crushable.
my ball
Look at him
and chain.
vaping his cookies and cream.
We have a stranger on our couch just getting high as shit right now.
Staring at us with very
No, he looks kind of
sleepy
smug.
eyes,
I think he's gonna kill us.
But what a way to end your life with a podcast. Mm-hmm. I think we're all blessed if we die.
Did you
after.
just say to end it?
To end your life
He's
with a
just gonna-
podcast?
Oh, if he's
that's
gonna
the
kill
last
us.
thing.
Okay, I
with
see,
it.
yeah.
He's gonna take the microphone and just like.
That was it. That was his first. He
bash
just
us
dropped the
over
hammer.
head. Yeah, that was actually the microphone hitting my skull.
So, do you guys want to talk about your reading series at all? Do you want to
Sure.
We can.
you can just say whatever you want. You don't have to plug it.
Oh, I mean.
You can just say everyone's
We'll
really
plug
angry.
it. We'll plug that thing
Yeah,
right in.
that's
Why
fine.
would we plug the thing that's happening, every middle of the month at Grill on the Hill, Saturday night?
8 p.m.
Plugging them.
The story that
One-
we've told for our first 3 readings is the story we will tell you all again.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we stopped because it got boring.
It got boring because we've said it too many times.
But for one night only.
Yes, but for one night only. This is a very interesting story. I, at one point, was a resident of Flushing in Queens, which was very happening and a very cultural experience for me because I would get stared by Indian dudes on the bus and get followed on the streets. It was a lot of fun. But,
Sounds like it.
that wasn't like an attack because I'm Indian, by the way. Just to make it clear.
I think when you introduce yourself, or I did, as Meher Manda, then that was
they got it.
It was pretty obvious.
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. So this is me calling out my brethren, But I lived in Flushing, and Chelsea came over for a night out during which we did things,
From
not with each
Brooklyn,
other.
which shows how good our friendship is.
Illicit things.
Yeah.
We did illicit-ish things, and
Blackish.
We ate falafel, let's be honest.
great show.
Yeah, I've actually never seen one episode. It was the first ish I could think
Saw
of. though.
5, and then I
Yeah.
stopped.
It was the first syndicated ish I could
yeah.
think of. So
Yeah,
very
and
important.
Ish adjacent.
ish adjacent.
Adjacent ish.
And then I'd been wanting to, because I'd read a few times and I really wanted to do something cool and fun. And I wanted to do it with someone. And I thought, we had a great night and we're friends. And why shouldn't I ask Chelsea? And it was this idea of a reading series, except I wanted to do something different. And I wanted us to set ourselves apart. And then the next morning, I, being the good friend, not the bad friend, I'm the good friend, the good guy,
doctor.
the good doctor.
That's another syndication.
The good wife. The good place. I'm the good place. And I decided to walk Chelsea. I was walking Chelsea to the train station. And
That was basically what that
that was my goodness.
After a wonderful night together.
Yeah, one memorable night.
One in which Chelsea saw things. But
I did.
In one wonderful night.
In a world where friends walk each other to the 7 subway station.
A reading series arises.
from the streets of Flushing, Main Street. So, so I told her that, hey, do you want to do a reading series? And she was like, yeah. And then, do you want to continue the story? As a true partnership, we will share the story.
Okay.
We
hand the
will
baton.
share the story. I mean, yeah. So the other thing is, it was incredibly humid. I was very hungover. So while Meher was telling me this idea, I'd like to add that it was sort of like a very bumpy kind of walk to the station for
We were
me.
both actually very fucked up.
There was a lot of emotions
Like still drunk?
going on.
Were we still drunk? Was this the after drunk? Who knew?
Very hard to tell. But the thing is, I think what we both agreed on was that in particular in our own writing, something that we were both really passionate about exploring is the themes of anger and how that kind of manifests in lots of different ways. It's also something that I think just for both of us, we're generally just kind of like pissed off women. So I think like it was just one of those things that came about pretty naturally as something that we would love to create a community that would be just as pissed off as we were. But really, I think the beautiful thing is that as it just spiraled out, once we started, embarking on this journey to this community that we've created through this reading series, we found it's been just incredibly cathartic. Every reading is just, a really amazing place where people share their own experiences, and it just like falls together like a kaleidoscope. It's just incredible to meet so many great writers in this city. And share that with them.
I've been to half, at least. I don't know. How
You've
many?
been to two.
You've been to two.
So 2/3.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a fledgling reading series.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's awesome.
And it's interesting because a lot of times, I read a lot in the city, and when somebody asks me to send in submissions, I'll send a recent poem that I want to test out, or I will send my favorite poems to read, and that selection comes to me very easily. Whereas when we ask our readers to come read, they have to specifically pick pieces that have to deal with anger. Even if those pieces are not ready to be read, even if those pieces are way too vulnerable or they're way too disjointed and fragmented, there is an intention to what they're sending us. And very often than not, it's just, I think that process becomes very interesting because you see a variety of poetry being read. There's a poem that has to deal with some other kind of anger, something to do with despair, something to do with such prolonged sadness that there is no way for such grief to manifest but in anger and questioning. And I love that this process of selection gives us, from the same reader, very often very interesting and different pieces, which I think is a lot of fun. I feel just that by putting them through that mental gymnastics, that we're establishing a certain sense of intention and purpose with the reading.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like a natural sort of like relationship starter. Like, I know that sounds like such a weird phrase, but I guess like when you think about it, when you're kind of asking someone to give you and share a piece based around that kind of emotion and that kind of experience in particular, I think it just creates a connection with people. Because I think, when we have like a lot of the things that we share at reading series, it's kind of like, yeah, you're putting usually your best foot forward, right? Whereas I think, naturally with the feeling of anger anyway, I think it's like a vulnerable emotion because it manifests from places that are of fear, of questioning, of difficulty, of conflict within us or with the outside world around. And I think just naturally that just leads us to an environment where we have these really beautiful relationships that we build with others. And it's funny though, because like sometimes it's also about like that framework of it creates such opportunity for humor and warmth. Like we've had, like writers share their poems about like, FOMO, while at the same night we'll have one, sharing a story about, their own kind of experiences working abroad, volunteering with different folks across the world and like the different disparities between communities. And it's so funny because like those things and the things they have in common is that feeling of anger and those things that connect those incredibly different experiences, right?
I kind of feel like right now, well, I'm also a very angry person, and I feel like they're
welcome to
like
the tribe.
Welcome to our tribe.
I feel like anger is like an inextricable part of any negative emotion that I have, and I'm wondering if anyone else feels like that too. It's just it's an emotion that arises when I just feel very like I can't, like I just.
There's no
not
way
just
beyond
futility.
this.
Yeah, not just futility though. It's just like any sort of like friction, and like I'm just like a petulant child, and I just don't want to deal with it in a way. And then all the way from that to like actually feeling anger.
I think it's very different. I mean, as a woman growing up, especially because my mother is very conservative and very proper, and she believes that there's a certain way that women should be behaving in public.
Oh, interesting.
And I was always told to channel my anger, which is very interesting because my father is very short-tempered and I sort of take after him in that way. But I was always asked to keep my anger in check. I was always asked to keep my voice in check, my volume. I was absolutely derided for talking back or questioning something. You have those parent-teacher meetings, right, when you're in school. And I would take my mother and they would say, oh, Meher talks a lot and, she gets very upset if you talk to her about something. And then my mother literally would come back home and cry. And I said, I could do worse, like get B in my test. But that's not happened. I ranked first in the class, but your issue is the fact that I stand up for myself. So this is always...
you stand out.
And I stand out.
Yeah.
So for me, I understand that the anger also becomes a channel for change because I think a lot of things that drove me away from the stereotypical environment that my family life was like, where if I'm an atheist, if I'm feminist, and I'm very radically both. Both of those emotions came from anger. I think I felt angry at this godlike entity, not because I had a very messed up childhood or that I was being punished in a way that nobody else was, but more in that, okay, this world is messed up, this doesn't make any sense, and I'm starting to really question whoever the puppeteer behind this is. It came out as a questioning the intentions of this godlike person, and over time, of course, you read science and you acquaint yourself with Genesis in the scientific way, then you realize that this is bullshit. But I think all of the things that made me radically political started with anger. And I think that it is that way, I like to believe, for everybody who's marginalized, because all of this anger feels really pent up. This system doesn't let you express it. Schools, families, society, and obviously human ethics demand that you're not violent. I used to hit the wall with my knuckles to hurt my knuckles to vent out my anger, and I once broke a switchboard in my home.
When I didn't like how a video game was going, I used to bite my controller. But it's interesting. It could be whiter, but no. What you were saying is very interesting because I think about this all the time about how the paradox between anger being an agent of change, which is absolutely true, and yet how like it doesn't make us feel better. It's not like good for us as people, but it's necessary at the same time. It's a very tough line to walk because we want to be happy, and we only have this life to live. But if we're going to fight for something to change, we're not just doing it for ourselves because we're using our own time, And I don't know, that's just really tough for me because like, if we all want to work on our mental health and go to therapy and stuff, that's great. But like, I know a lot of that involves more objectively looking at life existentially and not like, in some of those political terms that like involve change and stuff. And so it's hard to reconcile that, intellectually for me.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. I think it's so interesting because like for me, like in particular, kind of like bouncing off of what we were just talking about, I think that anger is something that growing up I also sort of pushed into an introspective place. Like my mother, on the other hand, was like, I mean, she's a firecracker.
It all starts from the mother.
Oh, absolutely. We're all here with mother issues this episode. But no, I mean, with like my mom, she was, running around the house, like, breaking every door by slamming it. Like, and it's not even like it was like in a terrible way. It's just that my mom is very dramatic. We have a lot of Russian blood in our family. I think that it kind of stems from that, growing up with
Did she ever happily break a door?
I mean, merrily, maybe. To be fair, my mom, I mean, like, my mom is the kind of person where, okay, so there was like once a mosquito on like a back door window when we were living in the UK. She literally went to swat at it on the window and she put her fist through the window like Hulk style. Like, and
was she like a bird that didn't know the glass was there for a second?
I think she just sort of thought she was gonna like lightly swat at this like mosquito and kill it, and she just broke through the whole damn thing. So like my mom is a person who is a big fan of expressing yourself.
That definitely sounds like a depth perception issue as well.
Maybe a little bit that. To be fair,
like an object permanence issue.
She was for sure doing the gorilla arms for a very long time before she got the glasses. Where when you're trying to read something and you're just like holding it further and further away, like putting it across the room.
I wish your mom was my mom. I got us talking down to for like 2 hours for breaking the switchboard.
I think we all wish everyone else's mom was our mom.
The thing is, like, I definitely can understand that because I think a lot of people were always like growing up really like, wow, your mom is awesome. But I think growing up with that, it definitely makes you feel some kind of way about like certain like reactions from people. And I think for me in particular, it was definitely kind of a place of introspection. So whenever I felt angry, I think because I never felt I was like the loudest person in the room, I often kind of like put it into a quieter place. Like I still today, like when I get angry at something, I more usually react with like crying, which is like,
or withdrawing or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It's a much more introspective kind of quiet place, which is why I think it manifests a lot in my own writing.
You should try biting your controllers.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I feel like also it kind of manifests in like weird, uncomfortable humor, which is probably like its own kind of thing.
That's generally mature.
Yeah, totally.
You know, when you talk about biting your controller, I keep thinking about like Nadal winning something and then biting his cup.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm starting to think that maybe anger, you know, when you said that anger is, you don't like feeling angry.
For those who don't know, Rafael Nadal is a tennis player.
Yeah, a brilliant one.
It's a trophy.
He's my favorite tennis player.
I'm not surprised to hear that. I would have guessed
he
that.
lost to Djokovic in the last 2 finals, and I'm pretty butt sore about it.
No?
Djokovic.
Djokovic, is that really it? Because everyone in America calls him the Joker.
I call him Djokovic.
Yeah, in America, it's always
maybe that's like
Djokovic.
a British thing. Because I'm imagining it like Djokovic. Like,
Isn't he a Swede?
Yeah.
Isn't he a Swede? Isn't he?
No, it is. It's not a British
Czech?
name, for sure.
Now you guys can keep talking. Our producer is just signing to me.
British. Ask her why.
Why she's British?
Yeah.
Why am I British? Well,
say it again.
You mean
me.
you mean like when did you live in England?
Yeah,
Or like
can we
why
start
did
this conversation over so I can
this is when Katie tries to tell me to say something. I have to try and do it in an organic.
Okay, so
Like
I will
way.
do this.
So,
I will do this when you told me about Nadal. I'll say that, and then we'll get into the whole riff. Okay?
What's the riff? I'm like,
The riff is when you said that. Oh, Nadal is.
can
for
you just
everybody.
ask her everything? Because this is when I go.
Wait,
so
I'll
Chelsea,
ask nice. Yeah.
Chelsea. So when and under what circumstances did you live in England?
Well, thank you for asking. I lived there when I moved there when I was 12. Yeah, we're biting our controllers.
Let me tell you something about England. They colonized my country.
Okay, listen.
No, and you said, and yeah, but that's the thing. But you're not trying to combat it through your diction. You still say things like "I'm sat here." Like, what the fuck is that, Meher?
Listen,
Are you trying to separate yourself?
The British took our most expensive diamond, and they starved us, and they took a lot from us.
Yeah.
And reduced our GDP.
Yeah,
But
you're
they left
looking at
us.
me.
But they left us with their language, okay? And you damn well know I'm gonna exploit it. All right, I'm gonna exploit that damn language.
Okay,
You
good,
exploit it, girl. Work it.
All right,
I'm
so
gonna
you
abuse
lived,
it.
Work that language.
So why did you live in the beautiful
Queen's
country?
English, they say. Let's see which queen.
No,
Would
but
you
Meher,
like a
excuse
cup
me,
of tea?
excuse me, Meher. I was listening to why she lived in England, that beautiful country that we all love so much.
Excuse me, can we please talk about England some more
Yeah.
and not this like very tiresome?
England never won the World Cup. Okay, England never won the World Cup. Not soccer, not cricket. either.
Well,
So-
absolutely.
Wait, no,
That's why
England
they have
has
like 3
England
of their
has
own
definitely
cups.
won the World Cup.
No, England hasn't won the
Oh.
Cricket World Cup.
Oh no, cricket. But you said
nobody
soccer.
gives-
They invented cricket.
Nobody gives a
You know how
fuck
many
about
times
the
India won it?
cricket.
A lot of time. That's great. No, but I'm just saying. Just
Twice.
soccer.
Twice.
I thought you said soccer. Okay, continue. I want to hear about Chelsea's white people issues.
Yeah, I want to talk about my white privilege.
Thank God. Something a nice Jewish boy can relate to.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, my dad
I'm used
is
to this.
my dad is British. My mom is from Queens. They met living in New York City when they were very young, and they raised us in California, but then we moved to England when I was like 11 to take care of my grandma.
And you're Jewish too, right?
And I'm super Jewish.
And a Jew, a British Jew. That's
a British Jew. I know.
that's tough over there. What did you guys say you wanted to talk about when we were texting? There was a show.
Love Island.
Love Island.
Oh,
Let's
actually,
get
this is a
into
good
this.
segue. Okay, so yeah, I'm from England, and we have
And
a
you're
lot
Jewish.
and I'm Jewish, and we have some incredibly culturally rich media there, and
The
both
BBC?
me. No,
The BBC is.
I mean the BBC
Not.
is okay, but it's
Hey.
not.
The Great
Hey.
British Baking Show came out of the BBC.
Yeah, but
or something like that.
But
I don't
they
know if
kicked
that's
off
true.
like no, that was wasn't that on Channel 4? But they kicked off.
No, now it is
BBC.
on. It is now.
No, now
It's now
on Sky.
Netflix.
PBS. It's PBS. There are producers just.
Well, but there's no PBS
signaled.
in the UK,
Yeah.
so
God damn it!
you guys,
Now our producers are shrugging. They're
It was on BBC.
flabbergasted.
BBC is known for other things, like the big fat quiz of everything.
Oh yeah.
And Graham Norton.
So this is the thing. We're
So
very
Love
culturally
Island.
rich, but
Yeah, Love Island.
there's this incredibly beautiful soliloquy of a show called Love Island,
Island.
that I have introduced Meher to.
And it has been dreadful. And
So-
also very exciting.
So let me explain the setup of
Is
Love
it like The
Island.
Bachelor?
No.
You would think.
You see,
At
this
the
is what I
beginning.
said. Like, because when we started watching it, Meher was like, oh, so it's basically like The Bachelor. And I was like, no.
There was a
not.
Love Island-ish show in America back when we were like.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the
It's
day.
based off of that. It's based off that original one,
Oh
but
my
they brought it to
This
England.
is the first time
Yes.
England has taken a show from America, like, ever.
And made it even better. Genuinely.
Because it put. No.
Okay, so basically
people
it's
from
like
Essex.
5 to 6, like young hot singles, and they take them from like incredibly like
Wait, but are they angry? Generally,
some,
no.
do
you know
get
what they
angry.
eventually do. Yeah,
there's
I
a
mean
lot of
inevitably
anger.
because the
Good.
layout
Then we're
of
on
the
topic.
show,
Continue.
the layout of the show is kind of a little bit like The Lobster, I feel like, because it's in this nature of like you have to be in a couple or else you are voted off the island, which is this incredibly like strange dystopian vibe to it that I
Yeah.
love. But
It's all
also-
coming back. I remember this. Yeah.
But also it's just incredibly stupid because they just have like people who are from like, you know, like Liverpool and like Essex and stuff like that. And like, I mean, that was an awful Liverpool
Welsh.
accent. Yeah, and Welsh people who are just basically like from like buttfuck nowhere, like in...
She said
sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of racist, but we'll continue.
To Welsh people.
British.
But you know, just to add on to that, Chelsea, who is from England and who knows culture, compared Yorgos Lanthimos' The Lobster to Love Island. There's your culture
I don't know
critical
what that-
analysis
I have no
for
idea
the
what that
day.
means.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. You should watch it.
I'll watch it. But my question, my more pertinent question is, do people fuck on the show?
Yes.
Like
They
real world?
absolutely do like
All
rabbits.
the time.
Yeah.
While so everybody sleeps in the same room. What? So when you couple up with someone,
It's like
you have to share.
birthright.
Yeah, when
you
you couple up
immediately
with
share a bed with
someone,
someone.
you have to share a bed with them. So you have all of these like full-size beds in the room that all of them are sharing.
That's it, full size.
I'm guessing.
I mean, that's
could be
they're-
queen, I don't know.
No, they're like
intimate.
European queens. They're
Yeah.
like, you know, I think IKEA size beds. Like, they're small.
They're small, and which means they have to snuggle and cuddle a lot. And they usually fuck under the sheets. Can you say
Yeah.
fuck on the show?
yeah.
I mean, I've been saying it a lot.
Oh yeah,
so I
yeah.
guess.
And they fuck under the sheets, and usually a lot of time, all of them, the others would be watching.
Yeah.
And they'll be rooting for them. They'll be like, "Whoa, yay!" And it's just
Yeah,
very-
they are. They're like, you know, scoring them out of 10. Like,
I don't understand.
stood on the sideline.
The show is responsible
I don't-
for giving me my greatest culture shock moment, which I didn't think was possible. I thought like nothing could shock
I
me.
mean, what I think
But
about
this show
that's
did.
really shocking about the show is that I think whenever people think of like British people, they're always like, "Oh my God, they're so like well spoken," even when they're just
Classy.
talking about nothing. It's like so
But
classy.
Europe is way less prudish than America. The whole fucking
It's very true.
region.
Very true. They have
If you
so
watch
many
the Great
crazy
British
things.
Baking, speaking of that show, like
Yeah.
like Noel will make random sex jokes, and it's just like casual.
Well, but he's
it's like a
just
family
he's
show.
just
But Noel
a damn
Fielding is
creep.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's a creep.
No,
think
he's
he's a
not. I
creep.
love him.
He's-
I love him. He's so funny. I love him.
He
Well,
kind of
we-
thinks he's a rock star, but I'll.
No, that's the whole.
Like
but
him.
he did
That's
have
the
a
slimy
traveling
part.
musical comedy show, and he filled out stadiums. So maybe he is a
Oh,
rock star.
I didn't know that.
He
about
had
him.
his own comedy troupe called the Big, something Baboosh, something like that.
The Mighty Boosh?
The Mighty Boosh.
Oh, you know.
And there was music in it, and they filled out stadiums. So,
But the Mighty Boosh is like, okay, there's like a couple of good episodes, and people are gonna fight me on this, like 100%.
Like
but
British people.
Honestly, it's very overrated in my opinion.
Is it worse than what's better, Love Island or The Amuse Bouche or whatever the fuck you
The
just
Amuse
called
Bouche.
it?
Okay, well, I mean, I think okay, that's hard because on the other hand, like Love Island is not good either. But it's just like
What?
at least it's very self-aware of its own terribleness.
we just sprinkled praise on it for like 10 minutes.
you know,
Not just ruining my reputation.
speaking of ruining reputations, the first time I've admitted to watching a really terrible show
Is
in
right
public,
now.
to a
Well,
broadcast audience.
let's just get it over with. What else do you watch that's terrible?
You know.
No,
quite a
come
few
on.
things.
No,
Quite a few
come on.
things.
Come on.
I can answer this incredibly easily.
Hell's
I watched
Kitchen, Katie
many
and I,
terrible
or I'm
things.
sorry, our producers and I.
I mean, it's not the other stuff I watch like over and over again. It's not terrible. Like Harshal will attest, I watched the Big Fat Quiz of Everything, the same episodes 10 times.
Never seen that.
It is the most hilarious. It's on Channel 4, and they get like these really funny people, and they quiz them about history and music.
What's Channel 4?
It's a British channel that has shows.
Oh, okay, we're back to the British channels.
Yeah,
okay.
but then
these are all gonna be British.
And the Big Fat Quiz of Everything has
because she still is like.
I'm still colonized.
Still colonized.
It is.
Yeah.
Intellectually and artistically.
Still kicking.
The British never left. Their seed is in me.
I'm disappointed in you, Meher. I'm getting angry, and I want to go on the series, and I want to
talk about all of the colonized Indians who can't seem to be rid of the British.
Yeah.
No, but that show is hilarious, especially because, I mean, the questions are straitjacket questions. Like, what did David Cameron say last year or something like that? What was the biggest song of the year last year? But I think the contestants are so funny. It's all of these, you know, really funny British comics. Noel Fielding, David Mitchell, Sarah McMillan, Richard Ayoade.
Has, like, anyone on Parliament or, like, a Prime Minister ever been on this show?
No, but as in the questions?
It's just like, yeah, no. I'm saying, like you said, they ask questions
No.
about them, but they're never,
They've
it's
not
not like
on the
celebrities or
shows.
anything like
No.
that.
But
Okay,
the
okay.
contestants are, like, they're well-known British comics. And you've had, like, Gina Peretti not Gina Peretti, Chelsea Peretti. Gina is the name of her character. Chelsea Peretti was on the show.
Trust me, no one's going to know here.
She's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But anyway.
Oh, okay,
I knew
okay.
her.
Yeah.
I've never
Bella
seen
Chelsea.
that show. But yeah.
And Michelle Wolf was in
Okay.
the recent one. So they have all of these comics, and it becomes incredibly hilarious. And I'll watch the same episode 15 times. And I watch a lot of other shows. But they're not terrible. I think the truly terrible show, I watch a lot of Indian reality shows where kids are singing.
Oh, that's definitely bad.
Because it's like, it makes me, when I'm about to get my period. And
Like
I already got it, but when I'm about to get it, like a couple of days before.
Wait, I just need an interpolation. We're going to take a break in like 9 minutes so that Meher can change her lady goods.
My lady goods. Yes.
My lady goes.
Her lady...
Yeah, I'm all about reproductive rights. But
Yes.
and so I get very emotional, and I like little talented children, like children who go up on stage and sing a song, like an Indian song, perfectly with all their notes and pitches hitting, and they sing it. I do. They
So
sing
I want. So
very
if you
earnestly.
cry to that, I want to see you watch like 9/11 hit shots.
Oh, I've watched those.
Or like.
I listened
gets
to
it.
all of the 9/11 911 calls that people made when they were stuck in the towers.
Oh my God.
And
She gets me.
I spent
She gets me.
No. I spent like this one whole day just listening to every single one of those recordings, and
Oh yeah, we're getting some serious tunage.
from
From
Harlem.
the
It's the streets of Harlem, you
The
guys.
streets of Harlem. Yeah.
Background
We got to
music.
keep this, but this is good.
This
So
is
this
hip
is a
hop.
boogie break. I mean, really, we could just like break early for you to
Change
You
my
wanna- do you wanna do
bequeath
that?
your
change my
Do you wanna do
your
tampon.
lady goods upon
Do it now.
this
Listen,
fair
I'm not like
land.
one of these prudish British people. I will call them what they're supposed to be called. They're tampons.
Tampons.
And
But
they
girl-
should not be a luxury tax on them.
But yeah, no. First, I want to talk about serial killers. Wow, Meher is not happy about it. Let's keep that rolling. So yeah, so Chelsea's last question was: is there a point in which an intervention could be made that would like change the course of events for like a serial killer or some psychotic sort of person that's gonna be very violent? You know?
Yeah, because this is something we were kind of talking about on like the car on the way over, which I was thinking about was, you know, because then we need to talk about Kevin, like, okay, spoiler alert coming up.
So you read the book though?
Yeah,
And
I've read the
and
book
you saw the
and
movie?
I've seen the movie.
So was the book better?
I think
usually
the
is,
book
but-
is a little more complex, but
Yeah.
I think both are actually really good.
Yeah, that's why books are still relevant because I don't think
Oh, absolutely.
you can capture that kind of
Well, you
complexity.
can't like capture the kind of emotional, like internal complexity
exactly.
of a character like that.
Yeah,
But-
you can get the, you know, obviously the visual component is itself jarring, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I mean, absolutely, I think in the movie in particular, they did a really good job of creating that discomfort and tension from the kind of more everyday things.
And credit to Tilda Swinton for that.
Oh,
Because you can almost
absolutely.
see her sort of channelize this agony. I mean, usually when you read... I haven't read the book. I just started last night because I watched the movie a second time.
Should we give like a little synopsis of this? Do you want to give it
Sure.
like, real quick? Yeah.
So-
just like a little.
So we don't want to...
Like jacket copy.
I don't want to give away the spoiler, but something violent happens with regard to Kevin, who is in... The title is after.
Yeah.
And
The eponymous child.
The eponymous child. And movie, at least, is presented as a series of flashbacks and moments through the eyes of the mother, played by Tilda Swinton. Kevin, 15-year-old teenage Kevin, is played by Ezra Miller. And we get all of these flashbacks that Kevin is not necessarily a very hospitable child. It has something to do with the mother, played by Tilda Swinton, and her character's resistance to mothering. She lives this very bohemian, travelogue lifestyle, but, she becomes a parent, and then that's when it stops. So she bears a certain resentment towards this kid. And we know she's struggling with playing mother, and that may have something to do with it, but it starts to get, this child is incredibly torturous, and he really, punishes her and tests her, and really
he does things up until he's 8 years old, he refuses to be potty trained and makes her change his diaper and looks her in the eyes, and
he kind of sounds like a genius.
Yeah, right. I mean, honestly, I would still be doing that.
He is incredibly smart and very articulate and very, at 15 years old, he says all of these things that you wouldn't imagine a regular 15-year-old to say. And there's just a great degree of intelligence.
Imagine that in a workshop.
I know.
Would he say this? He's only 15.
Yeah.
Right?
No, there's a great degree of intelligence, but he's also he shows very strong signs of psychopathic behavior, especially toward his mom. And then, this violent thing that he is a participant in, we try to understand how much of that is the fulcrum around which these snapshots exist.
And also, in particular, definitely, with that emphasis on the fact that she is constantly sort of criticized in her own role as mother in the book, and, the way in which that kind of unfolds in her retelling of their relationship in retrospect of, what ultimately happens, and kind of raises those questions, was there a time where there could have been an intervention of some kind, where maybe, therapy would have been, a useful tool to obviously introduce, or was it that she was just so ashamed of what was happening that she couldn't really kind of reconcile the two images of her son?
There are psychopaths that, the dude who wore that Joker costume and went in the movie theater and shot up all those people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So apparently I read this book Capture, which is really good. Katie, our producers read it first, and then I read it, and it's kind of guiding us towards this grand unifying theory of mental illness, kind of. And it sounds crazy. I mean, that sounds like a manifesto for a serial killer themselves, but actually, in reality, honestly, it makes a lot of sense. It's this idea that we just get fixated on stuff, and that's a lot of our problems. So this guy, he tried himself to get help and told psychiatrists that he wanted to kill people, and he knew that this was a problem, and
they never addressed it,
and obviously it was addressed to a certain degree, but just going back to what Chelsea was saying about just what could she have done different, because she might have felt ashamed. It's this guy himself had to go out there and say, I desire to kill people. I have a serious problem, That's really hard to get over. I don't know how he did. I don't know how he did that, and it still happened. It's really mind-boggling to me.
And it's so interesting, right? Because I wonder what level of that was the kind of protection of people that you're treating, and kind of thinking, if you have that element of self-actualization to be able to stop yourself enough to go and seek help, they probably figured maybe there's a level of, I don't need to involve authorities, I don't need to make people aware. But you think they do even they do more for people who say they want to kill themselves than other people.
Yeah,
then. Because if someone walks into a hospital or to a psychiatrist and says, I really feel like I'm going to kill myself, they would, lock them away, they section you, all that stuff. And it's so where is that line? At what level do we help and intervene?
I know it's a very tricky thing, because I always believe that there's always enough time for intervention, simply because I think it was a sort of a trip I started to go on last year. Kate's, who was here on your last podcast.
Yes, two. She was on two, actually.
She was on two.
She was on part 1 and 2 of our criminal justice one.
Yeah, and she works with the Pen Prison Writing Program, and I was helping them out for a period. And it was a question that sort of began then, because for me personally, I always think that there are certain crimes where intervention is good and okay, and there are certain crimes in my head that feel so sinister that, you know, there is no other alternative but to at least lock them up, because I don't believe in capital punishment, but just to like keep them away.
Sure.
And most of that has to do with really torturous murder or rape. Those are it's like...
Or things that it's like, this person could just do this again and we don't know how to solve it.
Right.
You know, so like for the time being, at least. I mean, it's sad because I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Like in my head, I'm always okay with white collar crimes and drug related crimes because for me, those are fine. But in my head, I had this moral line.
That's interesting because I actually... I feel like it should be the same sort of standard. It's like if this person is just going to keep doing the same thing, because white collar crimes, you just can't see the blood on their hands.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So if someone's like reaping all this benefit, someone else is starving out there because of that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
No, I absolutely agree. But in your head, because you see the presence of a victim's body and you see the mutilation and the destruction, there is you rate a rape differently from like a large scale, you know, capitalist
embezzlement or
embezzlement.
Something like that.
But it was, you know, I was part of the Penn Prison Writing Program, and I would read all of these pieces by prisoners who had, you know, I didn't know what crimes any of them committed, but one of them who won the nonfiction round, by the time his letter of, you know, his congratulations letter was posted to him, he had already been hung. So if he'd been hung, obviously that was a crime that was incredibly harsh. And then I realized, because I remember his piece being my absolute favorite of that year, and it started to lead me onto this territory of questioning, because that piece was incredibly humanistic and it was incredibly touching. And that really made me consider what rehabilitation and therapy and personal involvement can do to the darkest mind. Obviously, in my head, I still feel like certain crimes, you know, emotionally, I feel very vulnerable to letting them off. I mean, not letting them off, but saying that they're worthy of reconsideration. But I feel that, especially if you have an anti-prison institutional stand, if you believe that just the whole idea of having prisons, and even in India, we spoke about, when I was at Penn Prison Writing, they had the strike going on by prisoners who, because they thought they filed a petition that what they were being forced to do was essentially slavery. It's a modern system of slavery.
Oh, it is, absolutely. I mean, you saw what they did with the prisoners here with like the California
fires. Yeah. And even in India, they make you do a lot of work, and the money you accrue through that process is very little that you get when you're released.
It's very far below the minimum wage.
Yeah, it's
actually,
very
like,
far below.
Aren't there, I was reading this article about how there are literally, like prisons in India where like they have like couples living together and like they just have like free accommodation, but they have to go out and work for everything else, but it's like in these closed communities. I think I read an article about this recently.
I wouldn't know anything about it.
I just think it's like, I think it's interesting because on the one hand, the thing is like from my own work, like with incarcerated, like alternative education settings, like with the Right to Write program, I think I definitely agree that there is such a healing process in rehabilitation. I think I'm a real advocate for that. I think absolutely there's something even to be said, you know, for the dynamic of having incarcerated individuals rehabilitate through assimilation of workplaces and understanding how to learn crafts and all these kinds of things and having those opportunities to learn and to grow. That said, obviously, we exploit it, and that's where it gets really complicated. But I also think it's really interesting what you're saying, because I think, like, you know, in cases like, for example, one of my family friends is a professor at Bennington, and she teaches a college prep course in Sing Sing, and one of her students was a serial killer who had killed like over 30 people, and he was like one of the best students in the class. And she sort of like was kind of pontificating on this in this level of like, is it that same kind of like nature of focus to get away with killing so many people that made him also such an interesting and innovative thinker, because of that focus he had to basically write almost like an entire manifesto on her class and be like her star student. And when you also think about that, you also think about like, you know, individuals like Ted Bundy, who was like a suicide hotline worker, like even throughout like many of his years of killing. And you sort of think, like, there's other sides to all people, but that doesn't necessarily mean if they're given those opportunities to do good, that they then wouldn't do those other things.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way to... I don't know. I agree with that. I mean, although you can argue that, like, especially in the case of Bundy, that he did that because of narcissism or some degree of, you know,
very
self-protection and self-righteousness.
Yeah,
even.
To be like, oh, I'm a good person.
I'm a good person.
Like, you
and
got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
I think, that gets real complicated. I don't think we'll ever know. Because there's a lot of people who do these things that are bad, and they have the idea that they don't even have remorse. Mm-hmm. Honestly, sometimes isn't even really true. They know that they're doing something bad. They might not feel the remorse. But at the same time, he's... like, someone like Ted Bundy, like, those kind of people are just... it's like having an orgasm for them, or like something that relieves themselves. Like they are sublimating or manifesting something by killing people. Yeah. You know?
That's a truly negative expression of anger and frustration if there ever was one.
Well, that was my through line through this whole conversation we're having, is like, you know.
No, but if you want to see more anger, come to Girl on the Hill.
If you like the Ted Bundy documentary, you will also like an angry reading series.
You're interested in Ted Bundy.
Netflix recommendation.
We need to come up with a proprietary algorithm real quick.
It's very interesting because one of the things we say on our website when we're looking for submissions is P.S. that this is not a space for airing bigoted anger.
Absolutely.
That anger can be personal and anger can be political and it can be communal, but we don't want it to be bigoted and to express. But
down your orange cella.
Oh yeah, can I have yours if you're not going to drink it?
Sure, I was going to at some point. But,
you know, this tastes like an ear medicine I had when I was a kid. Sorry, Sergio.
And Susanna, like, honestly, god damn it.
No.
You're talking about my heroes here.
But
hey, excuse me, I love it.
You love what?
The orange cello.
No, I want to try it.
I thought you meant Ted Bundy.
You haven't even tried it yet?
No. Do I take a sip or do I take a shot?
Just drink the whole thing. That's fine.
Girl, you cheersed and you didn't sip?
Oh, she didn't like it? Is there
I
any
like
left?
it.
Is there any left?
I like it. I took a very tiny sip. You can have some.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, I'll continue drinking it. It just tastes like ear medicine.
Give me none. Give it to me. Pour it in here.
But my ears feel great.
That's placebo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's clearly...
Yeah.
That's it. We're having the intervention now. We're redirecting
Guys,
your path.
You need to put down the orange cella.
All right. So yeah, this is a good segue into Lumina, where plenty of serial killers and psychopaths thrive.
Oh, absolutely.
And fester and cultivate.
Although, you know,
what's
actually interesting is we do have a story this year that is along a similar vein of we need to talk about Kevin.
That's interesting.
So
the same one that's coming out this March?
Mm-hmm. So this volume out in March 2019. Wow. Buy it.
Do we get a contributor's copy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, all contributors get a copy.
Look at that.
And we got 2 contributors in the room right here.
Where are the other 2 readers?
fucking inside job right here, man. It's the Illuminati.
Right? Illuminati.
The literati is what we like to call it, but you know.
But we do use the phrase Illuminati. Although I usually only use it like quietly to other people while they get uncomfortable that I'm actually using it.
Now
like a dad.
Now everyone's gonna hear it.
I mean, it's a great group to be in. Beyonce's in it.
Wait, what group?
Well, no. That's the Illuminati.
Everything's the same.
No, this is the Illuminati.
I know, but like the Illuminati is a subset of the Illuminati.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like, are we paying dues? Like, are we? Like,
I still
are there
attest
kick-ups?
I don't know what we're talking
I do get. I have hiccups in my chest.
You have hiccups. Okay.
Hiccups.
I have very radical
late
hiccups. Late I said bloomer the first time, but
there's a language barrier, everyone. We're trying to figure it out right now.
We're gonna just like wait until the limbs find their lettering.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm not gonna describe the grotesque gesture, just emphasized my way.
I didn't do it.
But with Lumina this year in particular, we were really focused on representation of different communities, different identities, giving voices to a lot of underrepresented communities in particular, and focusing also on just experimentation of the written form.
How do you experiment with the written form, Chelsea?
Oh, girl.
We're doing it. We're doing it right now.
You want to know.
We're doing it right now.
We are experimenting.
I mean, yeah, I think that especially like, I think a lot about sort of difficult writing, and it's something
that's refreshing because I've spent my entire life, trying to be easier. It's very, very frustrating. Anyways, continue.
Well, no, but absolutely. And I think there is an element of like, right, where, because when you're a writer, you're also obviously like, you're a business person. You're figuring out how to market yourself and how to get people to listen to you, which is incredibly hard, especially.
And also a lot of people just don't even know that they have to do that or refuse to believe it. And I did that for a very long time because like being a writer is not being a business person. It's just not. Yeah. And like you can have both of those skills. I'm not saying they like, can't coincide, but they just really are mutually exclusive. They have nothing to do with one another.
Yeah.
And like this idea that like people have always been forced to market their stuff and like blah blah blah. There's probably a kernel of truth to that, but at the same time, they're just not at all the same.
But so much of good business is good communication.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, I agree, but like
actually all of business.
But here,
Shark Tank.
let me give you an example. Oh, me and Katie have thought about going on Shark Tank and saying, "Oh, it's like this is our business model." And they'd just be like, "People read books." Like,
they would be
Mark
like,
Cuban would be like,
"Yeah,
no."
They'd be like, "What is this?"
He's the only judge I know.
Honestly, is Love Island better than Shark Tank?
No.
Like,
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
Wow.
No.
Fight me.
Oh my god.
Love Island is a lot of fun, and I have watched
22
episodes in the last 1 week.
I would argue that don't we have enough media in this world that encourages people to shit on each other? And here we are with Love Island, which is about a community of people all trying to find the person that they will spend the rest of their lives with, or at least the next 6 weeks in Portugal with.
Most of them are 20 years old. Most of them, at least in the season I'm watching, are 20 years old.
Oh, except for like that one old hag who's like 30.
She's amazing. She's the best. Rest in peace, Sophie Graydon. But she's dead, dude.
She's dead?
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other Love
so
Island.
No, but that was actually the really weird thing while we were watching Love Island was that, I can't wait to get to the end when it's like an old season because the seasons I'm watching now came out in like 2015, 2016. So like we were kind of texting and it's weird because in particular with 2016, it feels like a cursed season because all the other seasons like that I've researched so far have just been like, oh, this person's like an Instagram model now. And it's like, okay, yeah. But like, we have this one person on the show named Malin, and like she's like had a miscarriage. Both her parents died of cancer in like the years since she left the show. And then we have
Did she find anyone on the show?
She did.
She did.
She got voted out
because she picked him and left this other guy.
And one day after, I just saw that episode, so I know. One day after she got voted out, the guy she was paired with, fuck you, Terry, fucks this other girl immediately, even though he insists he will be committed to her.
Yeah,
and there's
he's
still
like,
a couple.
Babe, you're the girl for me.
But does that benefit him in the show?
No, because he lost eventually. Because I know who the winners are.
Yeah, we know who the winners are.
It didn't. You know who the winners are.
Because it's season 2. It's from 3 years ago.
And that's like the best part.
Well, you can't be going on Google and shit.
But this is okay. Wait, no.
The fun.
But this is the crazy part. Was that
Love
when
Island.
you research it? Yeah, it's Love Island.
Didn't you watch Ted Bundy? Didn't you know what he did?
It's not secret. It's so true. You know the end of that story.
Yeah. We haven't watched Ted Bundy yet, and I don't know the end of that story.
Well,
let me tell you what Ted Bundy did.
Yeah,
and a necrophiliac.
Our producers are saying that she doesn't want to know the end of the story.
Ted Bundy.
To me, honestly, I see that preview and I'm like, wow, a strapping young man embroiled in controversy.
Everybody's like talking about how hot
Who knows?
he is. He just literally looks like a dude that's like checking out your groceries. Like, I don't know.
That's the whole point. He was supposed to be incredibly charming. I think he is legitimately generally good looking.
I actually had a friend back in my undergrad of creative writing who used to write letters to like
Ted Bundy?
No, he's dead. It would be like that would be silly. But no, she did.
You can write letters to dead people.
So true.
I've done it. I did it to God once.
He's not.
Do you wrote a letter to God?
Yeah. God is dead.
God is dead. Nietzsche, not Nietzsche. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Nietzsche.
Yeah. Okay. I got it.
Okay.
I just don't want to come across as stupid on this podcast.
So I did have a friend who used to write to guys in prison and like just like, pen pal kind of stuff. But she actually ended up marrying one of them when he was released.
Oh my god!
So hot. That's so hot. I
and
wonder
she
what
knows
that
she
sex.
loved
I want a
She
Love
loved it.
Island like group like
That's like the
cheering
woman-
sex.
I feel like they should
situation,
have
you know?
that.
That's like the woman who married Ted Bundy while he was still in prison. There's a woman who marries him while he's still in prison. And
Well,
she,
doesn't like Charles Manson have like 5 wives or something?
yeah, Charles Manson, and then there was a bikini killer
I mean,
from
when
India.
when you have
he
no
is real
remorse.
fun. We had our own serial killer
So fun,
from
bikini
India.
killer.
He was called Bikini Killer because he would approach all of these women in bikinis at the beach.
Like
and
he would be wearing a bikini.
No, they
Oh,
would be
they
wearing
would.
bikinis.
Only
he
underneath his
he
shirt
would
and
rape
shorts.
and murder and kill them. And he was called the Bikini Killer. And then when he went to jail, when he was in prison, he ended up having a girlfriend who
Is
then
this like the James Franco movie?
Did he make her wear bikinis?
No.
But they were all the Spring Breakers. That's
That's Spring Breakers,
Yeah,
where
this is
everybody's in
basically
bikinis,
the
which
plot.
is
yeah,
a great
because everyone's
movie.
in bikinis.
Spring Breakers is a good movie.
I thought it was.
Isn't
I thought
this
it was.
a Girls Gone Wild episode?
I think it was a solid movie. I think it was a solid movie.
I think it was A1, and James Franco is really good in it, even though he's become very
I didn't
sketchy
watch
now.
it.
So this Bikini Killer guy managed to fall in love while he was in prison, and he got married. Can we all do that?
We bring this to you by
Guys,
Veggie Chip.
who is the Bikini Killer?
Wait,
It's
what
not
did
just
that
veggie
do?
chicks. Representing India is Anand jackfruit chips.
Representing. Wait, where is hummus from?
Lebanon.
Where is hummus from?
Lebanon.
At the bottom of the Dead Sea. Hummus spouts like a geyser.
All the places
That's
that
why
America
it's so
sent its
salty.
armies to.
All right, guys, let's talk about one more thing. Should we go?
Let's talk about India.
We talked about Lumina. Oh, you want to talk about more?
I mean, okay, no, but actually, to be fair, we.
Okay, let's talk about Lumina more.
Sorry, Lumina more. Yes.
Lumina more. This is the next segment of our podcast. It's called Lumina more.
So the cool thing
Lumina
about Lumina. Yeah, Lumina now.
Lumina now.
For one night only, Lumina. So this year has actually been pretty exciting because we've kind of arisen it from the dusty sort of like basement of Sarah Lawrence College and brought it to life. We've revamped it. We did a whole redesign.
So everyone in my year and our producer's year.
Yeah, we were
sucked.
like, you guys don't know what you're doing.
Fair enough.
Absolutely not. I think all the years have been absolutely great for lots of different reasons. I think that, don't laugh at me, hashtag politician answer. I think for me, I think it's always the problem with a press that's run by successive years of students is that it's like a palimpsest of everything that's come before it, right? It's like everything has its own flavor, different things. That said, this year we developed Firefly Literary Podcast. We also have our new multilingual project, La Lengua, which focuses to reimagine the translation section of a literary journal and decenter the English language. And it's been a really, really exciting time for us, doing lots of different projects with that, working on this redesign, and I just feel like we really made it our own, which I think has been incredibly exciting.
Do you think that's going to keep going down the line? Like, because you said it's tough for, like, for new students. So, like, do you think you've created something that's going to last?
I absolutely hope so. Yeah. I think if nothing else, we've reinvigorated a lot of excitement surrounding it because I think, for a long time it's been following kind of the same dynamic. And nowadays, I think when people have been seeing the Lumina name, it's attached to lots of really exciting things. And I think in particular, it's just about focusing on just making it as exciting as possible for the next generation, as it were, of people to take it on and make it their own again. I don't expect people to keep it exactly the same. I think I would be crazy to think that past when I leave that everything is going to just continue on, as it were. But I think that's the best part.
So the new thing is basically making sure that everyone else can do a new thing.
Yeah,
themselves.
I think that almost that's something I would find even more exciting is to have it be that.
So you can do
it focuses almost its branding towards and lends itself towards that aspect of like everything is going to be new and exciting every year.
Yeah.
and
it's synergized by the fact that you guys get to do it. It's not just like, oh, here's a new thing that someone grandfathers down to you, or
exactly.
Or
it's not like
patriarchal.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's not like a queen just like getting into her throne and putting on the blanket and just sort of sitting there with her corgis. It's like you're really taking on something and
that's pretty cool. Though.
Connecting to it. Oh, absolutely. I mean, honestly, I probably would have done
Queen Elizabeth II.
Yes.
One thing I will say, I actually did not know this. We did a podcast
from The Crown, my favorite Netflix show.
I
saw the first few episodes and I was like, but nothing's happening. It's beautiful.
No, but a lot happens.
Does it?
It's British, so you don't know what's happening.
Let me say this one.
But it's happening.
Let me say this. Maher, get one more out. Great job. I did not know that our lovely producer's lovely sister of Via Design did Lumina's website?
Absolutely.
I had no idea.
She did a fantastic logo. She and her husband are so talented. Honestly, like I would definitely make sure you check her out.
And you can also check her out on what episode is she on? 4? Really? Damn, we've done a lot since then. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, check out episode 4.
We'll edit that if that's wrong.
And she did an absolutely fantastic job. She really, they got on board with everything about our new vision. The website looks amazing, helped us with our redesign with our book, as well as Jonathan from Major Robot, who has worked with Lumina for years. And it's been a really great collaborative process. Yeah. What are you signing about?
She wanted to make sure I said her name.
Cool.
I'm plugging everyone. It's all good.
Mm-hmm. Lizzie and Sean from Via Design are incredibly talented, like genuinely, and they're
also very smart.
Really, really fun to work with.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I can't even count the amount of phone calls I had with them where like we would start with one part of our design, and then just like 20 minutes later we'd be talking about like the roundabouts in London, and I'd be like, I don't know how we got here, but I'm here for it.
But I enjoy it.
They're great people, and their dogs are really cute.
I never witnessed that, but I imagine so.
All dogs are cute.
True. Have you ever like had someone be like, "No, this dog sucks"?
Okay, I do have to say that about Pomeranians.
Some people say that about Rosetta.
Like those little fuzzballs.
Those Poms are the worst dogs, and every single Indian auntie in India has a Pom. Like, it's a very popular Indian dog, maybe because it's so white, and we've always wanted to be like white people, so we got white dogs. But God, that dog is really annoying.
I mean, I'd argue it's not a dog if you can lose it down the back of a couch. You know
it's
what
not
I
that tiny, though, but like,
Well, I mean, I guess I can lose almost anything down the back of my couch.
There's an Indian Twitter?
There's an Indian Twitter? No.
What? I just got What? I just got asked to ask.
Anti-Semitism.
No, the whole, speaking of anger.
So you're saying Twitter in India?
Yeah.
Indian people using
on Twitter.
Twitter.
Indian people on Twitter speaking about Indian things.
It's like a whole subset.
Right no, but like speaking of anger, right? This whole, at least like I know that Katie is a witness.
No, that's our producers.
Our producers?
Yes.
Our producer. The producer is a witness.
Our producers.
She keeps asking me about how I keep like rant a lot on Twitter, and actually I don't do as much as a lot of other Indians on Twitter.
Yeah, keep telling yourself
But it becomes, well, Twitter does become a sort of cesspool for political frustration and anger. And in India, so much so because yesterday, just today, like the 3 major political parties tweeted GIFs at each other. Which was just like a very, like we didn't thought we would
live. Like they wired billions in cryptocurrency to each other? Like,
no,
I don't understand what this means.
GIF images.
Oh, GIFs.
Not
GIFs.
We give each other gifts.
GIFs. Like, okay, so they were moving images.
They were moving GIF images that they tweeted to each other.
The gifts of Indian Twitter.
That's not as good as a lot of Bitcoin, I gotta admit. But
it's its own fun. But we never thought we would live to see that day that you have these 3 political parties be like channel the millennial on Twitter and do this process of meme sharing, and it was just like kill me fucking now. So like half of the people in these parties are illiterates. I can't believe this party.
What were the GIFs?
It was just ridiculous. One person put a video, the other person shared the other political party shared a GIF of Nancy Pelosi clapping at Trump, like, oh, you tried, you tried. And then the third political party put a GIF of Michael Jackson or someone eating popcorn, like, oh, we're watching both of you fight.
Where are the Indian references? Why are we outsourcing our references here?
Listen, obviously, because they have some like freaking 22-year-old doing their social media. I think that's what it comes down to. There are a lot of Indian references on Twitter. Most of them come from Bollywood, which is its own little cesspool. But yeah, I mean, it's a thing. You'll find a lot of Indian GIFs on Twitter. GIFs.
Gifts.
But I wonder also, like, I mean, because obviously, like, there are just kind of like sort of world, like, globalized, I guess, like GIF, like kind of culture, right?
Yeah,
so it's
sure.
like
but
that
it's
kind
just,
of nature.
I think we've lived through, I think essentially as, I mean, of course, I mean, it's a little incriminating to say that India battles like centuries old rhetoric in terms of political ideology, but so does America. Like, we're still discussing abortion in 2019 in America. So it's like an evangelical influence is really high in the American politics.
I mean, slavery is still
and race. I mean, you know, but
exactly.
So it would be sort of absurd to say that, oh, Indian politics is really regressive, but it really is also. I mean, the whole rhetoric of like communal discord being used and manipulated to fashion a large-scale political rewriting of the country, because we're a secular country. Democratically, we do not associate with the religion. The state does not associate with the religion, but there is a large-scale attempt to move it to the Hindu fundamental right. And all of this regressive nonsense is happening, and then the three political parties sharing gifts just feels like such a weird... It feels like a wormhole. Like, a real-life rhetoric does not meet up with the sophistication and the sort of modernity of the online rhetoric. And that is what is absurd, because you have like the prime minister of the country say some of the most bigoted and communal shit, and he was responsible for one of the most serious communal pogroms in the country. He justified it. He let it happen.
Who? Which like?
Who is the Indian prime minister?
No. You said pogrom?
Pogrom, yeah.
Yeah, like who? Like,
the Hindu-Muslim pogrom in Gujarat, in the state of Gujarat.
Hindu-Muslim?
Yeah, so in...
but those are two different factions. Like what?
Yeah, so the pogrom was on the Muslims. There was this communal rioting that was happening, but essentially it became a large-scale massacre of Muslims in Gujarat, and there was like large-scale looting and raping and murdering.
And that's a thing that's not isolated to this event.
It's not, that's not isolated, but the person who was the chief minister at the time and who was justifiably lenient with the proceedings and who is a member of the Hindu right is now the prime minister of the country. So there's this large-scale political rewriting that is happening, and it just feels like every single day we're 70 years away from our independence. We're relatively a young country. A very young country. And so, but at the same time, we are regressing. We've become, even more communal. We're becoming even more casteist. Caste issues are coming up. I mean, it's not like they ever went, and we were never, we never decided to keep caste system back in the Bay.
That's caste for all us Americans out here.
Caste system.
Caste, yeah.
Yeah, but, so there is all of this rewriting happening, and you see this. And also, a lot of members of these political parties are criminals, and a lot of them are just...
That's like everywhere in the world.
That's like everywhere in the world, but we're not talking lobbyist white-collar crime. We're not talking, I took a lot of...
We're talking about pogroms.
Yeah, we're not talking about, I took money from the gas and diesel industry and now I'm going to deregulate or whatever. This is just like baseline level, I'm going to murder your fucking mother kind of like criminal behavior. And a lot of these people have criminals as their political party members, so it just feels that the crap we hear in our lives as being part of the Indian political system is so baseline and so fundamentally regressive that when you have the political parties tweeting gifs at each other, it just is like, come on, don't kid me. This is just, don't do this. And it was just incredibly embarrassing for everyone watching from the sidelines. Somebody tweeted, oh God, I wish I'd never lived to see this day. And I very much echo that. I did not want...
How did we get here?
How did we get here, right?
Okay, no, let's talk about how Indian Twitter feeds back into the Angry Reading series and your work.
Well, absolutely.
These closers are always the hardest thing. Yeah. Like, we're always like, how do we close this?
No, I mean, funnily enough, like, I've always been an angry person, but sort of having Twitter as a venue where there isn't as much
repercussions for your anger.
Not just repercussions, but just...
Can I tell you? Speaking of which, I have a friend who was banned from Twitter.
Yeah, I know so many people who were banned from Twitter.
So many. You know so many.
Because you have all
You're
of these,
angrier than me. You know more angry people than I do.
I mean, Indian Twitter is angry. Rightfully so. Wrongfully so also.
Were they from death threats?
I've had death threats.
You've gotten death
I've
threats?
gotten death threats.
Did they get banned?
I didn't report them. But like, because for me, it's just, I would just stop responding. Also, I'm fairly unimportant as a person. So it's not like I got 1,000 death threats. They were maybe 5. And who cares about 5 death threats?
Pretty decent. You should be proud of yourself.
I am. That's what keeps me up at night
like
as a journalist.
Yeah.
The death threats are still death threats are still very cutting and vulgar and at least to the point. Mm-hmm. But the other day, just like 2 weeks ago.
So they're good writers. That's what you're saying?
Not good writers, but they're succinct. They're pithy. But
I don't know. I think
that's good writing.
Downright pithy.
But like 3 weeks ago.
I kill you tonight.
So true. That staccato beat of that syntax.
It's like slam. It's like slam poetry.
Yeah.
I kill you.
I
tonight.
Wait, Meher.
Dear baby.
So
that was magical.
We went to Governor's Island
for some festival.
For like the poetry festival over the summer, and we basically went and we were watching all these poets like reading their work out loud, and we realized there's like always this way that poets read their work, which was
we've talked about this on this podcast before,
and it's always like like the veggie chips.
I went to get some veggie chips, and they were so good.
Yeah, literally,
they were so.
And
good.
Meanwhile,
except like sadder than that. That was kind of sultry.
Like you have that slight downward tone.
Yeah.
Of the end of each thought,
because it's very rife and
when
real.
You think my brain says to me, "That is who."
That is who
Like you can like make a poem on the go.
Meanwhile, like we also had this thing where we got basically when we kind of got bored of like
I kind of want to just like do poems.
We we sat.
We did that for 3 hours that day.
3 hours. We sat on this swing set and there was this baby that
got handed to me.
Yeah, that got handed to Meher. It was like a very like hippie
because of the poems.
Community moment.
No. The baby's father.
Yeah,
there were
he
two
was
swings.
just like my baby really wants to come on the swing, and he just sort of like.
And the baby obviously couldn't sit on the swing alone because he's small.
And we weren't getting off because we deserved to be on the swing more than the baby.
Because we traveled all the way to Governor's Island. And this dad just like, here, take my baby. And he gives me his baby.
I was too awkward. I get very awkward around
holding the baby.
Was his dad going to the poetry thing?
Yeah, he was hanging out. He was doing his thing.
With his baby, drinking beer, And
he gave us he gave me the baby, and I held on to the baby, and we ended up doing this
thing of being like, dear baby. And we were like, dear baby, sometimes...
Did he hear it?
You will go to a poetry festival, but there will not be poetry, but just disappointment. Festival.
And you...
I will hand you to a girl on the swing, and that will be the story of your life.
Dear baby.
Think about that moment every time you think about me, how I gave you away for the love of life.
Dear baby, sometimes birth will feel a lot like living, constantly little births in this downward motion until death.
Dear baby.
Maybe your age saves you from this life of man.
You want to hear something really funny? There's a framed poem on in my parents' bedroom
that says "Dear Baby."
No, it's called "Flower Baby," and I wrote it when I was 10 years old.
Okay, "Flower Baby."
Flower baby, on the wall, there is a corner. Geometrically.
Why do you sound like you're 70 years old?
Geometrically, there's a corner.
That's my
flower baby.
That's my grandma's ex, my bubby. Okay, we're gonna close it on that. I would keep doing that though. That was really fun. We should have a whole episode where we just do
bonus episode of Dear Baby.
That was awesome.
Okay, that's it for today's episode. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and review on whichever platform you're listening. You can get in touch with us on Twitter at Animal Riot Press or Facebook and Instagram under the same name, or through our website, animalriotpress.com. This has been the 9th episode of the Animal Riot Podcast with your host, Brian Birnbaum, and featuring Meher Manda and Chelsea Asher. Transcripts for our deaf and hard of hearing animals are provided by Jonathan Kay, and we are produced by me, Katie Rainey. See you later, you filthy animals.
Well, thanks for having us on this podcast. Thanks for bringing Dear Baby to the masses.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
It's the burn. Bombing on y'all and getting gully as the fern. I don't know much about